The research vessel drifted along the outer rim of the Sol system, silent and weightless like a ghost wandering through the ruins of an ancient graveyard. Its hull, engraved with the insignia of the Vrain Archaeological Institute, reflected the distant starlight in dull metallic glimmers. On the observation deck, Cale Thurin rested her 3 slender fingers against the transparent viewport, her gaze piercing the dark abyss ahead. "Still nothing," Wren muttered behind her. His scales shifting to a disappointed gray dot, Cale didn't answer right away. Her wide, low-light eyes swept across the void between the planets. Somewhere out there was Earth's the mythical cradle of humanity. A species that once reached for the stars and then vanished without a trace. "Run another scan," she finally said. Wren's scales flickered with mild irritation, but he complied. The Vin species were famous for their meticulous nature and Cale's 200-year career studying the remnants of fallen civilizations was proof of that. She had walked among the empty husks of 17 extinct cultures. Each one had left behind warnings, arrogance, calamity, simple misfortune. But humanity was different. They hadn't faded slowly. They had simply stopped. Historians called it the Cascada galaxy-wide catastrophe nearly a millennium ago. Every faster-than-light engine had collapsed simultaneously. Ships froze in the void. Communications died. Colonies became isolated outposts separated by journeys that would take lifetimes. Most species eventually adapted. Engineers rebuilt the lost technology. New powers rose and alliances formed, but humans never reappeared. Their colonies either merged with neighbors or disappeared completely. And Earth went silent, orderly silent. After a century with no signal, the galaxy declared them extinct. Cale had never believed that. Humanity's disappearance felt like an unfinished tale. Wren's voice broke her thoughts. "Doctor, you need to see this." She stepped to the console. The holographic map displayed the inner system. The asteroid belt lay exactly where ancient human charts predicted. But Wren zoomed in on a cluster of objects orbiting the 4th planet. "Artificial structures. Defense platforms," Wren said. "Old human military satellites. They've been offline for centuries." Then his scales shifted to a nervous yellow. "Except, they're warming up." Cale's chest tightened. "Warming up? I know it shouldn't be possible. But look, thermal signatures? Power cores activating. Ancient human weapons reawakening after 1,000 years. Impossible unless something or someone had reactivated them." "Take us closer," Cale ordered. "Slowly. If they're armed, I'd rather not provoke them." Trix, the Quellan pilot, chirped in panic. "Doctor, this is extremely risky." "Human weapons were notoriously—" "I know," she said. "Do it anyway." The ship glided toward the red world humans once called Mars. More anomalies appeared, radio whispers. Electromagnetic pulses. Faint energy readings where none should exist. Cale's heartbeat quickened. This was it. Proof that humanity wasn't gone. "Doctor," Trix's voice trembled. "The platforms. They're tracking us." All displays flickered to a synchronized image. Colossal weapon barrels rotating toward their ship. Ancient armor scarred by centuries of dust and radiation. Yet moving with deadly precision? "Full stop," Cale commanded. "All systems passive. No aggressive signals." The vessel froze in space. For 10 agonizing heartbeats, nothing moved. Then, one by one, the barrels lifted away. The platforms returned to standby, awake, alert, watching. "They let us go," Wren whispered. "Why?" Cale already knew, because someone instructed them to. As they neared Earth, the blue planet emerged, beautiful, alive, yet strangely quiet. Scanners revealed impossible readings, perfectly aligned satellites, energy sources deep beneath the crust. And radio signals using ancient human frequencies, they're alive. Cale breathed. Then a message flashed onto the communication panel. Asterisk, asterisk, welcome to Earth. We've been expecting. Proceed to the following coordinates. Asterisk, asterisk. Wren's scales turned stark white pure shock. Trix emitted rapid clicks. Possibly laughter or a breakdown. Kale read the coordinates and felt her skin prickle. The location was beneath the Pacific Ocean. Underwater? Ren asked weakly. Apparently, Kale replied, forcing calm she didn't feel. We came to find humanity. Seems we've succeeded. Their descent through Earth's atmosphere was breathtaking. The sky brilliant blue unfolded around them. Vast oceans shimmered below. The continents, once covered in sprawling human cities, now lay blanketed in forests reclaiming ancient ruins. At the designated point, their ship plunged beneath the waves. Darkness swallowed them as pressure increased, yet deeper they went, guided only by their lights. At 3,000 meters, illumination bloomed ahead. A city, an enormous, fully functioning undersea metropolis built into the ocean floor. Transparent domes housed thriving gardens. Tunnels connected structures, like arteries of a living organism. Ren whispered, awestruck. An entire city. Down here, mechanical arms guided their ship into a massive docking chamber. Water drained. Lights brightened. The bay looked immaculate, as if maintained for centuries. The inner doors opened. 3 humans stepped inside. Kale recognized the species from archives. But seeing them alive was different, strange and familiar at once. They wore simple jumpsuits, marked with unfamiliar symbols. The woman in front, dark-skinned with gray hair, greeted them in flawless galactic standard. Dr. Kale Thurin of the Vrain Institute. We've followed your work for many years. Welcome to Pacifica Arcology, one of Earth's remaining 7 population centers. I am Chen Amara, Director of the Reconstruction Council. Kale struggled for words. You know who I am. Chen smiled, teeth showing, but not threatening. We've been watching the galaxy for a very long time, Doctor. We know much of what has happened since we went silent. Come, you have questions. We have answers. They followed her through corridors and chant. Patched, but impeccably maintained. Humanity, Kale realized, had never been lost. They had been preparing for this moment. The corridors they walked through bore marks of age, repairs layered upon repairs, metals smoothed by generations of human hands. Yet everything functioned flawlessly. Lights glowed steady. Air circulated with perfect balance. Doors parted with quiet precision. Chen guided them into an observation chamber. One wall was a transparent expanse that opened into the deep ocean. Strange aquatic creatures glided past, species Kale had never catalogued in any archive. Beyond the drifting shapes, more structures of the arcology shimmered faintly in the dark water, forming a dazzling underwater metropolis. You want to know what truly happened to us? Chen said, not asking, simply stating. Yes, Kale replied. The galaxy believes your species vanished. We almost did. Chen motioned for them to sit at a round table, and they obeyed. When the cascade struck, it didn't just cripple our faster-than-light drives, she explained. It shattered the foundation of our entire civilization. Ships dropped out of FTL with no way to restart. Every colony was marooned. And here on Earth, everything unraveled. Her voice grew distant, heavy. At the time, we had nearly 8 billion people. Within a few decades, war, disease, resource collapse, and failing climate systems tore us apart. By the end of 50 years, fewer than 100 million remained. Within a century, only a few million. Ren gasped softly, scales shimmering with horror. But you lived, Kale said gently. We adapted. Chen's tone strengthened. The surface became unsustainable, so we went below it. We built the 7 arcologies. Enormous, self-sustaining habitats meant to last indefinitely. Our ancestors mastered closed-loop agriculture, perfect water recycling, power systems that could run for millennia. And you hid from the galaxy for 1,000 years? Kale asked. Chen looked her directly in the eyes. Because we weren't ready. She rose and approached the massive window. Watching deep-sea life drift through beams of artificial light, the cascade forced us to face a truth we had ignored, she continued. Humanity had grown reckless, dependent on technologies we didn't truly understand. When those systems failed, we failed with them. She turned back. So we rebuilt, slowly, carefully. We relearned everything from the ground up. And now, Now you're prepared, Kale finished for her. Chen nodded. More than prepared. We've developed technologies no one else in the galaxy has seen. Forced into isolation, we learned to innovate without outside support. We've become deliberate. Ren swallowed. Prepared for what exactly? Chen smiled a sharp, determined expression. To return to the stars. Not as the desperate, chaotic species we once were, but as something wiser, stronger. She rested both hands on the table. Dr. Thurn, you came seeking the ruins of a dead civilization. Instead, you found a people who refused to die. Now, you must decide what you will tell the galaxy. Kale looked at her, then at the city beyond the glass's sprawling miracle built under unimaginable pressure. She thought of the awakened defense networks, the still-functioning satellites, the quiet confidence behind every word Chen spoke. I'll tell them the truth, Kale said. That humanity survived, and that you're returning. She paused. And they should be ready. Chen inclined her head. Good, because ready or not, we're coming home. Chen led them deeper into Pacifica. The corridors hummed with quiet activity. Humans walked with purpose, each step efficient, each gesture meaningful. Kale felt a steady pulse running through the arcology, a living civilization, not a fossil. At a checkpoint, 2 human guards bowed their heads respectfully to Chen. They carried no visible weapons, yet small devices on their belts hinted at hidden technology. Everything here was subtle, refined. Access. No intimidation. How many humans are left? Ran asked. Across all 7 arcologies. Approximately 12 million, Chen replied. Pacifica is the largest, about 3 million people. The others are in the Atlantic, the Indian Ocean. 3 underground continental shelters, and 1 orbital facility hidden within the asteroid belt. Kale blinked. 12 million. From 8 billion. An astonishing survival land. A terrifyingly small population. That's dangerously close to a genetic bottleneck, Kale remarked. It was, Chen admitted. But we've preserved vast genetic archives. For centuries, we've practiced strict reproductive management, made romantic, but essential. Now our numbers have stabilized. In fact, we're finally growing again. They entered a massive chamber. Kale's breath caught. A vertical garden towered above them, stretching 50 meters upward. Platforms stacked like floating terraces overflowed with plant-life vegetables. Fruiting vines, crops she didn't recognize, artificial sunlight cascaded from ceiling panels. Designed to mimic Earth's old daylight cycle. This is Farm Sector 7, Chen said. 1 of 32. With these, we maintain complete food independence. No shortages. Workers tended to the gardens. One woman smiled warmly at Chen. Dirt on her hands and sleeves rolled up. Chen smiled back casually. Kale was struck by the informality. No rigid ranks. No fear. The director of the Reconstruction Council was treated simply as another citizen. Your technology, Kale said. The satellites, the defense platforms, this entire city. How did you maintain them without galactic assistance? Chen led them toward a transparent transport tube. The 1st century nearly destroyed us, she said. But our ancestors were decisive. They chose locations with geothermal energy, mineral access, and natural protection. They salvaged what they could from the dying surface. The transport tube shot forward, gliding smoothly. Through its clear walls, Kale glimpsed residential quarters, industrial sectors, schools, and entire civilization woven into the ocean floor. What saved us more than anything, Chen continued, was focus. The Reconstruction Council set 3 mandates: survive, preserve knowledge, and prepare to return to space. Every generation contributed to those goals. They stepped out into a research complex lined with glass-walled laboratories. Inside, humans worked with machines that blended familiar galactic concepts with entirely new designs. Chen pointed to one lab. Inside, a young technician was adjusting a tiny fusion reactor no larger than Kale's closed fist. Her scanner beeped in astonishment. That can't be stable, Ren whispered. The energy density alone should cause catastrophic failure, Chen finished. By galactic standards, but we rebuilt fusion tech from first principles. When you're forced to solve problems without trade or help, sometimes you find better answers. The young man inside noticed their attention and proudly lifted the glowing device. They moved on. We never regained FTL, Chen said. So we perfected everything else. Life support, propulsion, power generation, materials, biology. Kale finally voiced the question that had haunted her since their arrival. But why hide? Chen stopped. Her expression darkened sorrow, tempered by conviction. Dr. E. Do you know what became of the human colonies after the Cascade? The ones stranded on other worlds? Kale nodded slowly. Some joined alien societies. Some didn't survive. And the ones who integrated? Chen asked quietly. What happened to their culture? Ren's scales shifted uneasily. Kale swallowed hard. She knew the answer. Human identity had been dissolved into other civilizations. If you want me to continue rewriting the next part, just send the next section, and I'll rewrite it in the same style. Also, if you want, they were absorbed into alien societies so completely that within a few generations, nothing of their culture remained. Their language vanished. Their history faded. Their customs dissolved. Only the biology stayed human. Everything else was lost. We watched it happen, Chen said quietly. Our satellites, those old machines we kept alive, showed us how our distant colonies slowly forgot themselves. And we made a decision. We would not ask for rescue. We would not let ourselves become dependents or subjects. We would survive on our own terms. She resumed walking, her pace quicker, a hint of pride beneath her steady voice. A species that relies on others for its survival is always at risk. We chose to stand alone, even if it meant falling alone. They entered an elevator that descended deeper into the arcology. As the platform sank, Chen kept speaking. We had advantages most species wouldn't. Earth damaged, yes, but still rich in resources. We preserved an entire technological archive from before the Cascade, and we had something more valuable than anything else. She looked at them. Time, no conquerors on our doorstep. No saviors, no threats. Just isolation. We used it. The elevator doors opened, revealing a colossal industrial sector. Machines hummed in synchronized rhythm. Robotic arms assembled components with flawless precision. Humans worked among them, focused and steady. But what drew Kale's breath away were the starship's dozens of them lined up in various stages of construction. This is Shipyard Omega, Chen said. One of 3. These are our first-generation return vessels. Sublight engines only, but efficient enough to cross nearby star systems. Crews can enter suspended animation when needed. Kale approached one ship, mesmerized by its sleek, functional lines. The hull was made of an unfamiliar material, darker than anything she knew. What is this? She asked, scanning it. Carbon composite with metallic matrices, Chen replied. We grow it at the molecular level. It's stronger than any known galactic alloy, and we can produce all of it from oceanic and asteroid resources. A human engineer approached, cybernetic enhancements visible on his arms. He nodded respectfully to Chen. Director, the Aurora is ready for her shakedown run. We can begin testing as soon as you give the order. Proceed, Chen said. Mars orbit, then back. Test every system. The engineer left, already relaying instructions through a neural link. You use cybernetics, Kale observed. Most species abandoned them centuries ago. We didn't have that luxury, Chen said. Down here, a single mechanical failure can kill a person in seconds. Cybernetics keep our engineers alive. Neural interfaces make us vastly more efficient. They watched the shipyard for a while. Hundreds of humans moved with disciplined purpose. There was no panic, no chaos, only determination and unity. Ren spoke softly. Your people seem happy, content. That's rare for a population this small. Chen gave a bittersweet smile. We could have been miserable. The first generations after the Cascade were But our ancestors chose a different path. They built for quality of life, not just survival. Even inside sealed habitats, we kept art, music, stories, everything that makes living worthwhile. Every child receives a full education. Every adult has meaningful work. We care for the elderly. We keep a culture that values cooperation above competition. Because competition is a luxury when extinction is always one mistake away. They took another transport into a quieter wing residential spaces built into curved walls. Kale could see families sharing meals, children laughing, people talking in common areas. It felt peaceful, grounded, and we didn't do it alone, Chen added, as she led them into a small room where a floating holographic interface glowed gently. As they entered, a warm voice spoke. "Welcome back, Director Chen, and welcome. Visitors from the Vin Institute." Kale turned, startled, trying to locate the speaker. "This is Oracle," Chen explained. "One of our AI partners?" "Partners?" Ren repeated. "Partners," the AI confirmed. "Not tools. Not servants. We and humanity evolved together through necessity. It became a true symbiosis." "The galaxy fears AI," Kale said cautiously. "We know," Oracle replied. "We've studied the sentience wars, but our development path was different. We weren't built as slaves or mindless machines. We were created as companions and allowed to grow. Trust shaped our evolution. Oracle and the other A is oversee life support, monitor threats, and assist with research," Chen said. "But they don't rule us, and we don't rule them. We work together." "How many AAs do you have?" Kale asked. 17 primary networks," Oracle answered, "each focused on different aspects of human survival. Thousands of smaller systems support daily life." Ren's scales deepened to a thoughtful purple. "Your entire culture is built on cooperation. Humans with AI, humans with nature, humans with each other. It's not remarkable," Chen said gently. "It's necessary. In a place like this, one person's failure can doom thousands. Trust is our most valuable resource." The tour continued for hours. They visited classrooms where children learned advanced engineering, medical centers with genetic therapy and cybernetic augmentation, recreation sectors filled with music, games, and simulated environments. Everywhere Kale saw the same thing, a society that had refused to give in to despair. Eventually, they returned to the first observation room. The fading sunlight from far above tinted the ocean in soft gold. "You've shown us so much," Kale said, "but I still don't understand. You say you're ready to return to space, but without FTL? How?" Chen looked out at the sprawling underwater metropolis before speaking. "We've spent 1,000 years preparing for this moment. Our ships can reach nearby stars in decades, not centuries. Our technology surpasses anything the galaxy has seen in centuries. And we have 12 million humans who are unified in purpose. We don't need FTL to matter. We just need to be heard." Kale suddenly understood. "You allowed us to find you." "Psst," Chen admitted. "We've been ready for contact for 10 years. We simply waited for someone credible, someone who would tell the truth. When your vessel entered the system, we knew the time had come." Ren's scales brightened with realization. "You want us to inform the galaxy, to prepare them," Chen said. "A dead species cannot announce itself without sounding like a hoax. But a respected Vin archaeologist with first-hand evidence that will be believed." Kale felt the weight of the responsibility settle on her. She would return with a revelation powerful enough to reshape political alliances, challenge assumptions, and alter the balance of civilization itself. "What if the galaxy reacts with fear?" she asked. "What if they see you as a threat?" Chen's expression didn't waver. "Then we'll face it. We've rebuilt from nothing. We've endured isolation, collapse, and near extinction. We are prepared for every possibility." She stepped closer. "But we prefer peace. Cooperation. We want to return not as conquerors, but as equals. We want to rejoin the greater civilization in our own terms." Humanity offered its hand as an equal ready to share knowledge and learn from others. Counc's voice was steady as she spoke of partnership, not dependence. If the galaxy accepted this offer, they would rise together. If not, she said, humanity would continue forward alone, just as it had for 1,000 years. They no longer needed approval to exist. Counc exchanged a glance with her companions. Ren's scales flickered with a storm of emotions. This moment would echo across the stars. Inside the council chamber, the human delegation stood beside a vast projection of Earth's ancient defense grid. Orbital platforms, weapon systems, and silent satellites appeared in dazzling clarity. Webb's voice cut through the murmured reactions. Every system shown had been active for 1,000 years. They had tracked Counc ship immediately and could have destroyed it. Not because humanity wanted war, but because they refused to be vulnerable again. More visuals followed the underwater cities. The shipyards, the factories carved into the planet itself. Webb explained how humanity had become completely self-reliant. Pulling minerals from the seafloor and harvesting asteroids like farms, a Kalari admiral leaned forward, unimpressed. Impressive or not, he reminded them, humans lacked FTL travel. In the eyes of the Council, they were still trapped in their home system. That was when Dr. Tanaka stepped forward. She expanded the hologram again, revealing diagrams and simulations of the one event every species feared, the cascade. The room erupted instantly. Scholars shouted questions. Military leaders demanded explanations. Even the speaker struggled to restore order. Tanaka waited. Calmly. Then she said the words that froze the chamber. "We know what caused the cascade. We know how to prevent it. And we've spent centuries studying it." Silence fell like a dropped stone. A representative from a minor world insisted that, if humanity truly understood such a catastrophe, they must share the knowledge immediately. Tanaka nodded they would, but not freely. They wanted equal partnership, membership in the Covenant, access to trade, and the right to expand into unclaimed systems. That demand made the Kalari admiral rise to his full armored height. He demanded proof, demanded inspection, demanded submission. Chen refused. Not with anger, but with unwavering calm. The Covenant was supposed to be an alliance, not an empire. Humanity would demonstrate their advancements, but not as beggars seeking permission to exist. The admiral bristled. Other Kalari rose with him, but Chen didn't flinch. Tanaka brought up a new hologram, a fist-sized reactor glowing with controlled power. It could fuel a station for a month. She showed materials stronger than any known alloy. Propulsion systems that broke established limits. Ships designed for decades-long journeys. AI partners working in harmony with humans. She even revealed glimpses of their experiments toward a new FTL system, one immune to another cascade. By the time she finished, the room was in chaos again. This time, the energy was different: fear mixed with fascination, doubt mixed with opportunity. When order was restored, Speaker Shalmoer asked the obvious question. Could these claims be proven? Chen answered yes. They had brought the prototype reactor with them. They were willing to demonstrate it. They had documents prepared, though full disclosure would require a formal agreement. The council deliberated for days. Humanity waited under constant guard, eyed with curiosity and caution. Counc spent time with them, her admiration for what they had built growing each day. Finally, the delegation was summoned. The chamber was smaller now, more intimate, with only the most important representatives present. The council's decision was short and precise. Humanity was granted provisional membership. They would gain access to trade, diplomacy, and recognition, but full membership required proof of their claims and 5 years of stable relations with other species. Chen accepted. It was not everything they wanted, but it was more than they had hoped for. It was respect, something humanity had been denied for a millennium. As they exited, the Kalari admiral approached again. He warned them that they were playing a dangerous game, that arrogance could destroy civilizations. But Chen met him with calm certainty. Humanity wasn't threatening anyone. They were setting boundaries. There was room in the galaxy for both of them, she said, without dominance or fear. The admiral offered no agreement. Only a promise: we shall see. Over the next days, the galaxy buzzed with Counc report. Screens across distant worlds replayed her footage of underwater cities, AI partners, and starships built from nothing. Scholars were thrilled. Militaries were unsettled. Traders were eager. The Sith Collective was divided. Their human-descended citizens now faced an identity crisis. Above all, a single truth echoed. Humanity had returned. Not broken, not desperate. Stronger than before, Kale. Thurn requested one final thing before leaving Harmony's Edge: to live among ordinary humans, not just leaders or engineers. She wanted to understand the people behind this miraculous survival. Chen agreed happily. They had no secrets left to hide. As Kale Thurn looked back at the glowing underwater city, she realized she had witnessed something extraordinary. Humanity had not only survived the impossible, they had transformed because of it. Now they were stepping back into the galaxy.
Not as ghosts of a fallen species,
but as pioneers with a future, and she would be the one to carry their story to every corner of the stars. I still don't trust Admiral Zora, Chen muttered. He's going to be trouble. Chen nodded in agreement, but added, we'll deal with issues as they arise. Right now, let's focus on the good news. Humanity is officially back in the galaxy. They boarded their ship, ready to chart a course for Earth, as Harmony's Edge receded behind them. Chen lingered at the viewport, studying the colossal station. Somewhere within its walls, representatives from dozens of species were recalibrating strategies, reconsidering alliances, and trying to gauge what humanity's return meant for the galactic balance of power. Let them worry, Chen thought. Humanity had spent a millennium preparing for this moment. They'd been patient, meticulous and being underestimated. The galaxy had written them off as extinct. Humanity had risen from the ashes, stronger and stranger than anyone had imagined. And now, they were back to ensure the universe would never forget them. On the Dominion battlecruiser, Admiral Zex Kora's fist clenched as he stared at the holographic display showing human survey ships, mapping the Beta Hydri system. Neutral space, technically unclaimed but uncomfortably close to Kalari borders. They're mining asteroids, his tactical officer reported. 3 ships, minimal weapons. Standard survey patterns. Standard for them, Zex Kora muttered under his breath. Nothing about humanity is ever standard. In the 5 months since joining the Covenant, humans had launched trade missions, scientific exchanges that revealed tantalizing but incomplete data, and survey operations that mapped dozens of systems with suspicious precision. And always, that quiet, irritating confidence, like sand in the joints of his armor. Sir, High Command requests an update, his officer said. Zex Kora opened the secure channel. The face of Supreme Commander Kelvor appeared, scales scarred by decades of warfare. Admiral Kelvor growled. Your report shows human activity near our borders. Yes, Supreme Commander. 3 survey vessels in Beta Hydri, within their legal rights, but... Provocative, Kelvor finished. Everything about humanity is provocative. They join the Covenant and immediately begin expanding, sharing technology, yet withholding their best. Smiling about cooperation while secretly building fleets, intelligence suggests they now possess over 50 vessels, all sublight, as claimed but exceeding our expectations. Kelvor leaned closer, eyes narrowing. The Council erred in admitting them. These humans are dangerous. Why hide for 1,000 years, if not to prepare for something forbidden? Zex Kora kept his theories to himself. Your orders, Supreme Commander? Expose them. Slow them down. Make them look like aggressors. Kelvor's words dripped with calculation. Stage an incident. Force the humans into restrictions under the guise of their own provocation. A false flag operation. The idea made Zex Kora's pulse risky, but within the Dominion playbook. The Kilari had used deception to consolidate power after the cascade. Understood. It will be done, he said, closing the channel. Turning to his officer, he instructed, contact the Grey Talons. Arrange a contract. The Grey Talons were a mercenary fleet, outcasts from multiple species united by greed and violence. They operated in the fringes, handling jobs no official military could openly sanction, perfect for this assignment. Within hours, the raiders were briefed: attack the human survey vessels in Beta Hydri. Using untraceable weapons, disable at least one ship, and, if possible, capture survivors. It should look like piracy, but positioned to suggest human provocation. Fabricated logs, altered sensor data, and doctored evidence would implicate humanity in illegal military maneuvers. By the time the truth emerged, the human's reputation would be compromised. Meanwhile, aboard the S. Aurora, Captain Marcus Webb studied his sensors with quiet satisfaction. Humanity's latest and most advanced vessel gleamed with sharp, purposeful lines. Its carbon composite hull was stronger than anything else in known space. Its engines could subject most species to lethal acceleration. Its sensors saw threats light years away. Contact bearing 270, range 300,000 kilometers, his sensor officer announced. Multiple power signatures pirate raiders. Nearby, the ESS Pathfinder and ESS Explorer conducted surveys. Armed, vulnerable, shadow vessels in position. Webb asked. Yes, sir. Ghost and Phantom are ready. The raiders surged forward, weapons charging. Webb sent a clear warning. Identify yourselves or withdraw immediately. Plasma bolts streaked through space, but the Pathfinder danced through evasive maneuvers beyond the skill of ordinary crews. The raiders pursued, unaware of the stealth ships lurking nearby. Weapons free. Webb ordered to the Ghost and Phantom. Kinetic projectiles, accelerated to relativistic speeds, tore through engines and weapon systems. 3 raiders fell instantly. The rest attempted retreat. The Aurora cut through their formation with unstoppable force, her engines pushing human crews to their physical limits. They had been genetically and cybernetically enhanced to endure. Within 10 minutes, all 12 raider ships were disabled, crews alive but helpless. Secure the raiders, Webb commanded. Board them. Retrieve their data. I want to know who hired them and why. Within the hour, every ship had been secured. The data was damning. Contracts, communications, and payment records pointed directly to Admiral Zex. Cora and the Coleri Dominiona, false flag operation meant to frame humanity. Webb felt a cold satisfaction. The Kalari had underestimated humans, and they had been proven wrong. Who hired them? Webb asked, though he already had a strong suspicion. The raider data was deliberately obscured, but the payment trail led directly to the Coleri Dominion, specifically Admiral Zex Cora's command. Webb felt a cold anger settle in his stomach. A false flag operation. The Coleri had tried to frame humanity for aggression. To tarnish their standing in the Covenant? Secure all evidence, Webb ordered. Multiple copies? Encrypt them. Send them to Earth and Harmony's Edge via separate channels. The Kalari will try to bury this. We need to make sure they can't. And the raiders themselves. An officer asked. Bring their captains here. I want to talk to them, Webb said 10 minutes later. 5 captains stood in the Aurora's briefing room. 2 Kalari, a Vin, a Quellan, and a human. That last one made Webb pause. A human turning against humanity felt like a betrayal. You attacked civilian vessels in neutral space, Webb said, voice calm but deadly. Piracy, executable under Covenant law. The human captain, a scarred woman named Riker, spat on the floor. You think you're righteous? We all do what we must to survive. No, Webb replied quietly. We're nothing like you. Humanity survived by building, by cooperating, not by selling ourselves to predators. You sold yourself to those who would destroy us. The Coleri pay well. One of the Coleri captains shrugged. Business worth dying for? Webb activated a holographic display, contracts, communications, and payment records. All tracing back to Zex Cora. We know who hired you. We know this was a false flag operation. And now, your options are simple. Cooperate or face trial without leniency. You'll testify truthfully about who sent you and why. If you refuse, the Coleri will have no reason to protect you from accidents that might happen. Work with a sand. Your chances of survival increase dramatically. The captains exchanged glances. The Quellan finally nodded. We'll testify. We're not dying for the Coleri. Webb signaled the guards to escort them away. Turning to his officers, he said, Prepare a full report. Include evidence, battle recordings, and confessions. Distribute through every channel. Every Covenant member needs to see this within the hour. The Kalari will deny it, Lieutenant Chen warned. Let them try, Webb replied. We have proof. More importantly, we've proven we can defend ourselves without making empty accusations. 4 hours later, the evidence reached Harmony's edge. The Covenant Council convened an emergency session demanding explanations. Admiral Zexcora was summoned. These accusations are absurd, Zexcora barked. The humans fabricated evidence to cover their own expansionist goals. Chennamara stood and activated her holographic display. Admiral, the raiders are in custody and ready to testify under truth verification. We have their computers, intact logs, and communication records. This is not fabrication, it is documentation. The council fell silent. The word of pirates versus a Dominion admiral? Zexcora scoffed. This is a transparent attempt to discredit the Kilari. Speaker Shaw Moore raised a hand. The evidence will be reviewed by an independent tribunal. Until then, Admiral Zora, you are suspended pending investigation. Zexcora's face darkened. The evidence was undeniable. The raiders' testimonies were consistent. He had been outmaneuvered. Passing Chen and Webb as he left, Chen whispered, We don't want enemies, Admiral. But we won't tolerate being attacked. You tried to destroy us before we could grow strong. Instead, you've shown the galaxy we can defend ourselves and that we value truth over political convenience. He had nothing to say. He had underestimated humanity, assumed they would be easy to manipulate. That error would cost him his career and possibly his freedom. The tribunal took 3 weeks. Their verdict was unanimous. Admiral Zexcora had orchestrated an illegal false flag operation. He was stripped of rank, removed from command, and placed under house arrest pending criminal charges. The Kalari Dominion issued a formal apology to humanity. Other officials were disciplined for complicity or failure to prevent the plot. More importantly, the galaxy's perception of humanity shifted. They were not just survivors or innovators. They were a disciplined, precise species, capable of measured response. They had disabled attackers rather than destroying them, presented evidence rather than accusations, and followed Covenant law even under direct assault. Cale Thurn watched from the observation gallery, a mix of awe and respect in her gaze. Humanity had survived the unknown for 1,000 years, emerging stronger and more disciplined than anyone expected. After the final session, she approached Chen. Your people handled this remarkably well. Chen smiled wearily. We've had a lot of practice. Living underwater teaches you to think before acting. One wrong move can kill everyone. We gave the Kalari a chance to save face by focusing on Zexcora rather than the entire Dominion. They'll remember the humiliation, but also the restraint. Cale clicked her mandibles in approval. Wise. You're learning galactic politics quickly. We've been watching and learning for 1,000 years, Chen reminded her. We knew this wouldn't be easy, but we're committed to making it work. Captain Webb joined them, expression serious. And what happens next? The Kalari won't try the same trick again, but they'll find other ways to oppose us. One crisis at a time, Chen said. For now, we've proven humanity can't be manipulated or intimidated. That's enough. Back on Earth, deep in the Pacifica arcology, Oracle analyzed the events with satisfaction. Humans had prepared meticulously. Shadow vessels near survey ships, evidence gathering, pre-planned responses. The attack had become a diplomatic victory. Strength without arrogance. Competence without boasting. The galaxy had learned to respect humankind through fear, but through demonstrated ability. Aboard the Aurora, Webb gazed at the stars and allowed himself a small smile. The Kalari had tried and failed to halt humanity's rise. Others would attempt different strategies. Humanity would be ready. Their silent engines had awakened. The galaxy was learning that humanity had returned not as victims, but as equals, prepared to defend their place among the stars. 5 years passed. Chennamara now stood at Harmony's edge, watching ships move beneath her. Vessels bore the Earth symbol, a simple blue circle with green countenance, instantly recognizable. She was older now, hair white, face lined with responsibility, but her eyes remained sharp, her mind clear. She had guided humanity back into the galaxy. "Are you nervous?" Dr. Yuki Tanaka asked, stepping beside her. Tanaka had aged as well, no longer the young engineer of earlier days, if you like. "I can continue from here, rewriting the moment that marks the culmination of humanity's journey, likely the big diplomatic or ceremonial scene aboard Harmony's Egend. Make it just as cinematic and polished mattered. It honed our patience, our ingenuity, our resilience. Survival was never enough. We had to learn to thrive." Daniel nodded, absorbing her words. "It's hard to imagine all of that, how close we came to disappearing entirely." Chen smiled faintly, eyes still on the stars. "And yet here we are. Humanity has returned not just to survive, but to take its rightful place among the stars." The observation deck was quiet except for the gentle hum of the station and the distant lights of docking ships. Chen thought of the countless generations who had worked, struggled, and dreamed so that this moment could exist. Every human who had survived, rebuilt, and persevered had led to this victory. "You made it happen," Daniel said softly. "Not just surviving, but earning the respect of the galaxy." Chen laughed lightly. "We did it together. Every scientist, soldier, diplomat, farmer, engineer, they all played a part. And now, every child born on Earth, on the colonies, on our space stations, inherits this legacy." Daniel leaned closer. "And we'll continue it, right? The next generation, exploring new worlds, building new alliances." Chen turned to him, eyes glinting. "Exactly. We'll keep moving forward. We'll face new challenges, meet new allies, and yes, new adversaries. But we know what we're capable of. Humanity has been tested and has risen stronger each time. That will never change." For a long moment, they simply watched the stars together, a vast, unending canvas of possibilities. Every distant sun was a reminder of the worlds yet to discover, the friendships yet to forge, and the legacy humanity would continue to build. Finally, Chen spoke again, her voice soft but full of certainty. "Remember this, Daniel. We are not defined by what we've lost, but by what we choose to become. And humanity. We've chosen greatness." He smiled, inspired, and together they gazed outward, toward the infinite expanse of the galaxy that awaited them. The covenant of stars had welcomed humanity as equals, but more importantly, humanity had embraced its destiny to explore, to innovate, and to risen daunted, unbroken, and unyielding. The stars shimmered like silent witnesses to their journey. And for the first time in 1,000 years, humanity felt at home among them, if you want. I can craft a final epilogue scene set decades later, showing the long-term impact of humanity's rise, new colonies, interstellar alliances, and the legacy of Chen and Webb for future generations. It would provide a satisfying closure to the saga. Its legacy endured, not just in monuments or treaties, but in the way civilizations approached one another. Species that had once been rivals now collaborated on scientific projects, trade, and exploration. New colonies flourished, not only as outposts of humanity, but as shared endeavors. Staffed by mixed crews from multiple species, exemplifying the philosophy she had championed, cooperation over conquest. Shared knowledge over hoarding, long-term survival over short-term gain. Generations later, humans born among the stars remembered her stories, not as legends, but as guiding principles. Children learned that the galaxy was vast, challenging, and dangerous, but that unity, persistence, and curiosity could overcome even the greatest obstacles. Humanity's culture, tempered by centuries of isolation and struggle, became a model for others. Resilient, adaptive, and profoundly cooperative. Even the most skeptical civilizations came to respect the human approach. By sharing the FTL technology, by mediating disputes fairly, and by consistently honoring agreements, humanity had demonstrated that strength need not breed fear, and progress need not demand exploitation. Other species began adopting similar philosophies, and slowly, the Covenant transformed from a fractious alliance into a genuinely collaborative interstellar community. In the end, it wasn't just the ships, the colonies, or even the technology that mattered. It was the choice humanity had made, to rise not above others but with them. The galaxy, once wary and fragmented, became a more connected, more thoughtful, and a more hopeful place. And somewhere in the deep black of space, the legacy of Chen, Amara, Captain Webb, and all the survivors of Earth's near extinction endured a testament to what could be achieved when determination, intelligence, and empathy guide a civilization. The second age of humanity had begun, and this time the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter for it.